I bought a condo at the top of the housing market. And before you guys go nuts, let me explain. Even though the housing market is at an all-time high, I did not pay all-time high prices, and I'm gonna get into all the details in today's video. Now let me get into some of the reasons of why I ended up buying this condo, so that way you guys don't think I'm absolutely insane and think like, hey, I listened to Michael for the great real estate advice, but here he is buying real estate at all-time high prices. And I did not buy at an all-time high price, and I'll explain that a little bit later in the video. Now let me tell you what I bought, so that way you can get some idea of why it was a good purchase. So I bought a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom condo on the ocean with a partial ocean view, and the unit is a little over 1,500 square feet. And this is in Miami Beach, where I live, and the purchase price was $550,000. Now, if you know anything about Miami Beach, or you go ahead and look for any type of real estate like that, you won't find any 3-bedroom, 3-bathrooms here even close to that price point. And so that was one of the reasons I bought it, but there are many other reasons as well, which I'm going to get into. The first thing is there was no bidding war, guys. And why was there no bidding war? Well, we were able to buy the unit directly from one of our neighbors, and it was basically an estate sale. Unfortunately, the woman who used to own the unit passed away about a year ago, and we were able to buy the unit under market value because the unit does need a considerable amount of work. So we're going to be doing some things in the unit to get it ready to move in, so it's not quite ready yet. And basically my pitch to the estate holders were, listen, I'm a real estate agent here, you know, I've done plenty of deals, I can facilitate the entire transaction for you, you won't have to hire a realtor, you won't have to pay any real estate commissions, and in exchange you sell it to me for this price. Because reality, they probably could have sold it for considerably more, and that's how we were able to get it at this price. And also the fact that Lizzie is super charming and she knows everybody in the building, and she was basically able to secure this deal because she knows so many of our neighbors, and she kind of put some feelers out telling everybody, hey, you know, we're looking to buy a unit in the building, we're tired of renting. And lo and behold, this opportunity came across and we grabbed it. The second reason we bought this place is because the price to own it is cheaper than it would be to rent it. And I've talked about this dozens of times in many of my real estate videos, guys, and I always give you the same advice, and I practice what I preach, okay? I would not have bought this unit if it would cost me more to own it than it would be to rent the same unit. And so that's the next reason we ended up buying it, because look at this. Our monthly payment, total, everything, mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, are gonna be $3,500 a month. And before you think that's a lot, guess what? If you wanted to rent a similar unit to that right now in Miami Beach, you can't find any 3-bedroom, 3-bathrooms anywhere for under $7,000 a month, and most of them are $9,000 plus, to put that into perspective. So that makes $3,500 look super cheap, and that's because it is. And by the way, I'm here in North Bay Road here today in Miami Beach, and I came over here because it's always pretty quiet over here. Very high-end neighborhood, lots of mansions on the water. All these properties you see behind me are huge mansions that have bay views. They're right on Biscayne Bay, absolutely gorgeous. All these houses are $10-20 million plus. A lot of celebrities buy homes on this road right here. I know Jennifer Lopez, A-Rod, Phil Collins, other people like that have owned some of these houses in the past, so that's pretty cool. Now, one of the other reasons we ended up buying this place, and honestly this was my biggest pain point for a while, is that I'm tired of moving, okay? I hate moving, guys, and basically Lizzie and I were in this position where we were either thinking about leaving Miami and moving somewhere else in Florida into, you know, a quieter, cheaper area and getting a house, or we remain here and she can keep working and doing her dog business. And that's what we decided to do because she really loves what she does. So basically the compromise was, okay, if you want to stay here and keep working, which that's fine with me, but I don't want to move anymore because we were renting And every single year that our lease has come up for renewal, it has been threatened that we might have to move out every single year, and that gets old. And especially right now, as you know, rental prices are shooting through the roof everywhere across the US, but in particular in Miami, guys. I did a video recently on this. Check out that video. That Miami is quickly becoming one of the most expensive cities in the US due to these high rental increases, okay? So that was another reason we decided to get this place, because now we have a permanent place on the beach that we can call home for as long as we like. And I love that. That is such a nice feeling, knowing that we can stay there for as long as we want. No one's gonna tell us to leave, and we're good on that front. Another big reason, now we have extra space, okay? We got 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Right now, we're in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, so we're gaining about an extra 300 or 400 square feet in the apartment, and having that extra bedroom is going to be excellent when it comes to me having my own office and Lizzie having room to do the work that she does with the dogs, and it's going to just make the place feel so much more like home, less cramped, and we won't have any of the landlord stuff inside of our apartment like we do now. So everything's going to be nice and clean and organized, and that's how I love it. So I don't care what the market's doing. I realize that the market's on fire, but like I mentioned earlier, we got a fantastic deal on this place. And honestly, guys, we were able to get that place for the price of 2 bedrooms, and we got a 3-bedroom. So that is an amazing deal, okay? It doesn't matter that the housing market's at the top, because I didn't pay the top of the market prices. And this is something that I really want to drill in. If you don't walk away with anything other than this in this video, if you're able to find some sort of off-market opportunity, be from a friend, a relative, a neighbor, like in our case, anybody who you think might be interested in selling their property right now, and you're looking for what they have, try and work it out with them directly, you know? I know I'm in the real estate business, but try to cut out the realtors altogether. Hire an attorney and do that instead. Because if you can negotiate something at a good, fair price directly with the seller and cut out the middleman, and there's no commissions, and on top of that, there's no bidding war, well, you just were able to secure yourself the deal of a lifetime, considering how crazy things are out there right now. Everybody knows the real estate market's on fire, and it's very difficult to buy anything right now. So if you come across an opportunity like this, don't waste it. You know, one other really important point I wanted to get across in this video as well is this, okay? Everybody knows the market's on fire, and a lot of people out there are losing hope. But my story is proof that there are still some deals out there that you can get, guys. But I think that the only way to get a good deal nowadays is you really need to try to find off-market deals or negotiate a sale directly with the owner somehow and know someone's looking to sell, because that's how we were ultimately able to get this deal. I mean, if you're looking at anything that's listed online right now, almost certainly you're going to have competition, and that's kind of a losing formula for getting a good deal right now. So if you're looking to get a good deal, forget about all of these online websites and try to find properties that are off market. And the only way to do that is to kind of talk to your neighbors, talk to people in the area that you're looking in, and try to get something before it gets listed. Now, I want to address a couple of other big concerns when it comes to buying a condo. Everybody knows that the condo collapse happened here last year. I was extremely concerned about it as well. And just so you know, our building right after that happened did have a structural engineer come by, check the place out, and everything seems to be in pretty good standing. The only recommendation that they have is that we fix any exposed rebar, which, let me tell you guys, all these buildings here on the ocean are always going to have some sort of exposed rebar once they're a few years old, because corrosion will get the best of them every time, and that's just the way it goes. But it needs to be maintained, it needs to be kept up with, and that's something that we're going to be dealing with this year in the building. And the other thing is, they want to add a column, an additional support column underneath the pool deck, just to make sure everything is supported 100% properly. And that's about it. So that's an upcoming project we're going to have to deal with this year. And Honestly, I'm okay with that. There's going to be a special assessment. We already know about it. It is what it is, okay? It's something that has to be done. It's for everyone's safety. And at the end of the day, nobody wants the place falling down like Champlain Towers did. Now, another really important thing about the building is it has a 10% reserve fund. And most of the time, you actually can't even get financing for a condo if they don't have this. But honestly, even if you can get the financing and you're looking at a building that doesn't have any reserves, I would highly caution you to look into this extremely well before purchasing, guys, because the problem with that is already, even though like a building like mine has reserves, for a big, engineering thing like this, we still need to pass a special assessment, okay? And think about a building that doesn't have any reserves. They have no extra money left over, and they come across something like this. Imagine the amount of money that will need to be spent on top of the regular budgeted items. Not only is that going to cost a fortune, the other problem with that is if the building doesn't have reserves, the reason they don't have reserves is because the owners vote not to have them. Why do they do that? Because they're cheap and they don't probably have the money. So that means you're going to be buying in a building where everyone else around you can't afford to maintain the building properly. And that's a problem. So on the one hand, you have a building where it needs new owners that can actually afford the upkeep, right? But the problem is buying into a property like that while everyone else around you can't afford it is not a good situation for you. So that's why you really need to be careful when you're buying a condo. Make sure they had a good engineering report done recently, especially after this collapse, and make sure they have reserves and the building is looking good financially. This place that we bought in, nobody's running delinquent on their monthly HOA dues. Everybody's paying on time, and when the special assessment comes, the residents there do well enough for themselves where we can all pitch in and afford that special assessment. And if you're gonna buy a condo, that's the kind of situation you want to be in. And I have to tell you, I do have an unfair advantage, guys. I've been living here for a really long time. I've been to all these buildings here up and down the beach, and I know which ones are ran good and which ones are responsible and which ones are a ticking time bomb. So that works in my favor, and that's another reason we decided to buy this condo. If you enjoyed this, then you're really going to enjoy this one over here, all about what happens when a condo dies. That's right, condos can die too. Find out how, and I'll see you guys over there.